Well-behaved women hardly ever make history. Um, I don't know if you've ever heard that quote. It's by a woman called Laurel Thatcher Ulrich. Do you know what she actually meant by it? I didn't know either until fairly recently. So yeah, you've probably seen it. You've probably seen that quote all over the place. You've probably seen it on mugs and t-shirts and inspirational Instagram quotes all over the place. Um, but it doesn't come with any context, and it kind of implies that, you have to be really badly behaved in order to get heard. And I get that, but actually its origins were from the Puritan towns of the Midwestern America, and Ulrich was referring to the fact that good wives, in air quotes, in Puritan towns were never involved in court cases, so their names only ever survived in history on gravestones, in family Bibles, and possibly in wills. Men, however, were all over the written sources, in business transactions and literature histories, deeds, and all sorts of other documents as well. And so the original quote is like a really nice soundbite, but it carefully covers up the fact that although women have always made up about 50% of the population globally, they occupy a really tiny percentage of recorded history. It's probably only about 1 or 2%. And what about women of the global majority? Women who aren't white Western women. How about LGBTQ people and disabled people and poor people and neurodivergent people? Where are all of their voices and stories? And they are certainly not, for the most part, in any of the historical sources, which means that our history is not our history at all. And, there are certain facts that are indisputable, more or less, but history is written by people, largely by men, mostly white men, which means that the history that we study and that we're taught comes from the perspective of a really small group of people who had and have a vested interest in writing that history to suit their politics, their goals, and more than anything, because human's gonna human, to hold their power. And so when we start to put women's voices back into history, the picture begins to look really, really different. So look, there are many reasons why I do what I do. And there are many reasons why I'm so passionate about everyone being able to use their voice to tell their story. And I do mean everyone. I mean, white men as well. That's cool. But this reason here is probably the biggest reason that I do what I do, because our story is not complete. Our history is not complete. We have a right, all of us have a right, everybody, to as accurate a representation of who we are collectively as possible. And we don't have that right now. I don't know if we'll ever have it, because history and truth is often subjective, but we owe it to ourselves to do the best we can, right? And so now more than ever, it is crucial to get as many voices as possible telling their stories in a way that cannot be manipulated by algorithms or co-opted by extremists. And again, I don't even know if that's fully possible anymore, but we can try, right? And books are one of the most important ways that we can do this. And I was reminded of all of this last week at Sophie's Bristol self-expression session, when I was facilitating a Q&A session. And Yinka reminded me of why I'm so passionate about what I do, as did Sophie and Samantha Harmon, the other brilliant women who were talking about their books. But yeah, Yinka had just reminded us how much of recorded history, or how little of recorded history, has women's voices in it. And it got me thinking about what everything would look like with more voices, with more diverse voices. And so I've got a book recommendation for you today, a book called Cassandra Speaks. I can't remember the author's name. I should have checked, but it's called Cassandra Speaks. Cassandra, if you don't know, in ancient Greek mythology, was a woman who was cursed to always speak the truth and speak prophecy, but to never be listened to. And so, yeah. That still sounds familiar, right? So yeah, go have a read of that book, and consider, next time you're thinking, oh, well, there's already a lot of books on my subject. Consider who wrote them. Like, was it people like you? Was it people with your background, experience, unique lens on the world? Was it people with your identity? And even if it was people with your identity, there's still room for your take on things as well, because everybody's perspective is different. Like, the things that tie us together, our humanity, is fairly stable. We all want and need the same things at our core, but we don't all experience the world in the same way, and we certainly don't all have the same opportunities, advantages, and disadvantages. So it really is worth, next time you're questioning whether your story is worth putting out there and your voice is worth sharing, it's really worth considering how many takes on a subject there are by people who are more like you. So today, I would like to invite you to take a few minutes and really think about, what you can bring to the subject that you might want to talk about, whether that's in a book or on a podcast or on social media or however, books preferably, because, books are much more difficult to manipulate in terms of, digital content. And but also because they are given a lot of weight. Rightly or wrongly in some cases, but they're given a lot of weight. So really consider who's talking about this stuff at the moment. There's room for your voice. There's space for your ideas. So set a timer for 5 minutes and start writing about it. See what comes out. How can you add a different slant to your topic? Let's get that done. And for more from me, you can follow me on LinkedIn and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And best of all, get onto my email list, because the algorithms are going to algorithm. And if you get onto my email list, you will hear from me when you want to. So you can join my mailing list at moxiebooks.co.uk/freebies and get some free goodies to help you use your voice to make good trouble. And I will be back same time next week with the MicroMuse. Thanks for listening.